Hi everyone and welcome to Fridays with Fenning. And yes, it's that time of the week again. How good are you at making decisions? I mean, are you a decisive person or do you normally let others make decisions for you? I mean, this issue has been the cause of some angst in my marriage, as I would happily leave most decisions to Sarah, but this can kind of drive her mad at times. You see, I've discovered that "I don't mind" isn't the answer that she's wanting from me. And I've even asked her in an empty car park, shall I park here or shall I park there? I won't tell you her response, no. But here's a question to think about. What's the biggest or the toughest decision that you've had to make in life? And then a second question, how did you go about making that decision? Now, I want to come back to this in just a moment. A number of years ago, Channel 4 screened a programme called The Audience, and it really caught my attention because of the dilemma set up in the very first episode. You see, 47-year-old farmer Ian Wainwright couldn't decide whether to continue running the family dairy farm for his ageing uncles who were 74 and 79, or whether he should walk away and start a new life. You know, he was split between that sense of duty and loyalty to his uncles who had kept the family farm going for decades, split between that and his own personal happiness. So he decided to let the audience follow him around for a week and come to a decision for him. And the audience is made up of 50 complete strangers from all walks of life. And it was very funny and quite ridiculous seeing these 50 people watching him milk cows, eat his lunch, question him, question his uncles and his girlfriend. And with Ian working almost totally alone on a struggling farm around a minimum wage, not only had his finances and self-esteem been affected by it, but the load was taking a serious toll on his home life. I mean, his first marriage had broken up, so he was divorced, and his current girlfriend felt neglected and wanted him to stop farming. And so he was at this crossroads and was questioning a way of life that he'd only ever known. And early on, the way forward really seemed easy for the audience, but then they started to meet people and they got the backstory from the uncles, and an emotion then suddenly started to play a part in their decisions too. Now, I think that's a really interesting concept where one person who needs to make a difficult decision is advised or given the decision by 50 complete strangers. But it got me thinking, how do I or we make big decisions in life? I mean, we're called to make them, some really impactful ones. I mean, recently I've heard of someone who's had to remortgage their house to try and maintain their business through the COVID crisis. I mean, that is a big and a tough decision to make. Someone else has popped the question and asked his girlfriend to marry him. That's another big decision to make. Another has decided to sell their house after 54 years and move to a new part of the county. These are massive decisions to make, not to be taken lightly. And what makes a decision difficult to make is because of all of the components. You see, in the audience, Ian Wainwright knew that he was going to disappoint someone by his decisions, either his ageing uncles or his girlfriend. And one of the audience recognised that really early on and said that he was going to upset someone anyway. Secondly, there's lots of emotion involved, that this would be the end of an era regarding the farm, and so he felt this responsibility on his shoulder. And thirdly, both decisions could work out fine, so was there a right way? And yet not deciding was actually making a choice to carry on without the benefits of the decision. So are there good ways to make decisions? Well, I believe there are 3 helpful ways to make better decisions in life. And I want to highlight one today and pick up on the other 2 over the next couple of weeks. You see, I also think the audience is onto something, but it's not new. You know, the wisest man who ever lived, a man called Solomon, who wrote the wisdom literature in the Bible, wrote these words. He said, "Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. Get all the advice and instruction you can so that you'll be wise the rest of your life." He said, "Plans succeed through good counsel, but don't go to war without wise advice. And the heartfelt counsel of a friend is as sweet as perfume and incense. So why is outside help so important? Well, it brings a different perspective. My friend Trevor Waldock's insight and wisdom helped Sarah and I so much in the early years of our marriage, that he was for me, but he helped me to understand another perspective, to see life from Sarah's point of view. And so we made better decisions because of his insight and help. Other people ask good questions to help us see the implications of our decisions. It's like walking around the decision to see it from all different angles. And an outside person has less emotional attachment. Sometimes I get to work with other churches and they know the issues, but they're emotionally involved. And so I can offer insight without emotion. Now, whether they have the courage to act on things despite the emotion is another matter. But other people will have travelled that path before us and will have gained wisdom too. So who do you have in your life that you can gain counsel from? Who are your wise friends who bring such heartfelt counsel that it's as sweet as perfume and incense? I remember asking Steve Miles, my best friend, who I trusted and who I knew would be honest, whether he thought I should marry Sarah. I remember asking Trevor Waldock about how I should handle the changes that take place at the Forge, because it was going to be hard. I still meet with various leaders to gain their insight and wisdom on the way forward regarding the church. I'm not abdicating the decision to others, but I need clarity on the best way forward. And the advice that I get from each of those people is so helpful and wise, and I'm incredibly grateful. So, thinking of a job change, of getting married, of ending a relationship, of upgrading and moving house, of making a big financial decision, or even trying to sort an addiction or a bad habit that you've struggled with? Well, my question is, who are you talking with? Who's bringing a new perspective to the situation? Listen, getting advice only works if you open yourself up to wise counsel and ask for advice. If people move in and tell you what they think, it's easy to become stubborn and ignore it. I've seen that happen so often, and on the whole, it just doesn't work. It takes great humility to seek wisdom. And we're not meant to live alone in this life, and that includes the decisions that we make. So we need to be brave and make the big decisions, but we need to make those decisions in the light of wise counsel from others. Hey, tune in next week for part 2 of Making Better Decisions. And just for your information, Ian Wainwright went with the audience's decision. He sold the farm and started a new life with his girlfriend. Hey, enjoy your weekend and thanks for watching today.